The modern game of tennis is all about spin. Think Rafa Nadal, think Dominic Thiem, ripping up the ball. And if you want to help yourself generate more spin, then you need a spin racket. In this video, I'm going to give you the best 5 you can buy to make sure you are ripping up that ball and generating revolutions like never before. Today, I am going to be taking you through my top 5 spin rackets. Now, let's be clear about what this means. They are my top 5. Me, Josh, what I like. So not necessarily what you like. If you do dare to disagree with me, feel free to add it in the comments as you go through the video. And speaking of engagement, if you'd like to like and subscribe to the channel, we really appreciate it. Anyway, let's crack on. So these rackets are in it because the brand that manufactures them have allocated them as spin frames. All right, I've got a couple of honorable mentions for rackets that aren't supposed to be spin rackets that I think are great for spin, but the ones that I'm choosing between are all ones that are supposed to be aimed at generating huge amounts of spin, and that is how I've decided, and then I've ranked them in between based on all factors. So as well as generating spin, how much spin do they have, as well as control, feel, and of course, power. So we're going to get into it now and go through my top 5 spin rackets. Now in this spin top 5, I have 2 honorable mentions, and like I said, I picked these top 5 out of the spin rackets, the ones the brand's designated as a spin frame. These 2 honorable mentions are 2 rackets that do not fit into the spin profile of their particular brand, but create a surprising amount of spin, and when we reviewed them, that has come up time and time again. And the first one of those is a Yonex racket, is the Yonex E-Zone 100. More of a power, sort of easy to use frame, but it can generate a load of spin quite easily. Its primary function being power, but secondary, I would argue that spin is its next best feature. So if you're looking for a power racket with some good spin, E-Zone 100, good one to go with. The other honorable mention is a bit more surprising. It's one of my favorite rackets so far of the year. It is the Blade V9 100. So obviously you've got the 298, which are the common ones that most people have. There's also, of course, the Blade 98S, which is the spin version. But I actually think you get more spin from the 100. Slightly that bigger head, open string pattern. You get the same comfort and control you get from Blades with a little bit more playable power because it's a 100 and a load more spin. Really, I can't tell you how much spin you create from this, and you wouldn't expect it. So this also is an honorable mention in my spin list. The Blade 100 and the E-Zone 100. In at number 5, we have Wilson's spin racket, and that is of course the Shift. Now the Shift is very clever. It has a new flex in it that actually allows the racket to rotate through the throat, allowing you to get loads of spin. It is the first version of the Shift. I'm expecting the second version to be even better. There is the Shift 99, which is what I have here. There's 99 Pro and the 99L. The 99L, very nice actually for a 290 gram racket. The 99 Pro I feel like goes a little bit more towards control as opposed to spin. Whereas this Shift 99, a really nice balance. This is the only racket in my entire collection that isn't a 100 square inch head. So that 99 square inch head making the string pattern slightly smaller. So yes, you lose a bit of spin, but that's kind of made up for in the flex. But you still get that element of control and you get a bit more feeling and pocketing, especially when you middle it because of that slightly smaller head size. Very subtle, kind of unique. Having a 99 square inch head, I think it was a good move from Wilson. It also looks brilliant. It's a little bit color shifting. I don't know if that's anything to do with the name, but in this really nice finish makes it a very nice racket to use. There's also matching shoes and a matching bag, so if you go all out Shift, you're in a good place. The string pattern, slightly unusual, 1620. It's quite common to have unusual string patterns within spin rackets to try and change the mains and crosses to give bigger gaps to help create spin. 1620 is obviously one extra cross than a normal 1619. Again, losing a little bit of the spin potential, but giving a little bit more control, which is why of all the spin rackets I'm going to be talking about, I'd say the Shift is probably the most controllable of them all. So in at number 5, we have the Wilson Shift 99. In at number 4, we have one of my favorite rackets. It is the Head Extreme MP, and it's popping new yellow colorway, and isn't it great? When we reviewed the new Extreme, we really enjoyed it because the previous generation of 2023 was so good, and this is, I would say, a marginal upgrade. And that upgrade really comes from the comfort. Auxetic 2.0 is in this frame, which means as you contact and it comes with the ball, the frame actually kind of stiffens up, giving you some power and some comfort. The Extreme obviously stands for extreme spin, spin big. It's even written on the racket, so it must generate spin, and it certainly does. You are not going to be left wanting more if you're trying to generate massive topspin with an Extreme. But it's also, as I was saying, it's very comfortable and generates a good amount of power, which is why it's quite high on my list, obviously 4th out of this top 5, but beats all other rackets that could be contenders. So the Head Extreme MP, not the Pro, I think that goes a little bit too more control-y. But the Head Extreme MP is a great spin option, forgiving, powerful, nice and solid, especially when volleying. That's a little extra bit for you. The Extreme MP, 4th on my list. In at number 3, from Japan, we have Yonex and we have the V-Core 100. And I have both colours, because you have a choice. You have the Scarlet and the Sand Beige, so no matter what your preference, whether you want to be angry and aggressive or subtle and sophisticated, you can have the V-Core 100 that suits your game. Now, the V-Core 98, I think, is probably a better racket than the V-Core 100, but because it's in a spin category, you do get more spin from the 100, which is why it is in here. And I think the V-Core 100 is probably one of the best rackets available in general because it offers a bit of everything. You get obviously some good levels of spin from it. You also get high amounts of comfort, control and power. It's a great all-rounder, more so than most of the other spin rackets. Lots of these rackets kind of spin is their main profile and then they have a sub-profile of comfort or power or control. These really tick all the other boxes. Spin is the primary function, but it does offer you all the other playable factors that you would like as well. So a very good option to go through, and of course you get that high quality spec and quality control from all Yonex rackets. So the Yonex V-Core 100 is 3rd on my list. In at number 2, none other than Mr. Nadal and his Rafa Aero. I have the Origin here, the 317 gram full weight version, the Rafa spec, but I also really like the 290 gram Rafa Aero, not the Origin, just because it's heavy, the 317 grams, and that 290 grams is really maneuverable. Now, why is this on my list? A, I think it looks super fun, and I think it's great, and Rafa's a legend, and who wouldn't want to use this? It's a 330mm balance point. Now, in a 317 gram racket, that is very unusual, which means it's quite head heavy. And you can generate, when I say lots of spin, so much topspin with this racket, it is untrue. You get so much plow through the ball, you get power, you get spin. Yes, it's not the most comfortable. Yes, it's not the most controllable, unless you control the ball with spin. And for those players that rip up the ball and generate loads, you're going to control that ball outcome really well. In terms of control and coming through your hands, maybe not, but that's not what this is designed for. This is designed for sitting deep behind the baseline, hot, humid conditions, hard courts and clay courts, letting that ball drop, ripping it up. This is going to really work for you. Think Nadal, it suits him down to the ground. If you want to play like that, this is a great option. It is an absolute spin machine. The Rafa Aero, either Origin or the Rafa Aero 290 grams, 2 options in at number 2 on my list. Carrying on from the legacy left from Rafa Nadal, we have now Carlos Alcaraz flying the flag for Babolat, and of course, the Pure Aero racket. Now Alcaraz uses the 98, and the 98 I think is the best racket in the Aero range, but in my spin list, I am going with the 300 gram version. I used this recently when I was comparing it to the new Extreme. We had it strung with Restring 0, and I loved it, and it reminded me why the Aero is so great. It's super fun, you get loads of spin obviously, but it's also surprising amount of control and it feels really solid. The stiffness level is good, and it's why it's above the Rafa Aero, even though you probably don't get as much spin, because the other factors, especially around comfort and control, are just better, and so it's overall a better racket. So if you are looking for a racket that can generate you huge amounts of spin but is solid and stiff and can be powerful and comfortable, then the Babolat Pure Aero is definitely a route to go down. And that concludes my list. This is number 1. If you love spin, you have to at least give this racket a try, even if you may prefer one of the previous ones that has kind of a second profile that you prefer. But my number 1, the Babolat Pure Aero, the spin machine. So there you have it, my top 5 spin rackets, and now their comments are going to be popping off of people disagreeing with me, and I love it. So give it to me. Tell me your top 5, your top 1, and maybe even within the families I've picked, do you just disagree and think the Aero 98 is just so superior that it has to be above the Aero 100? I don't know. Let me know, and also let me know the setups that you like, because obviously string and tension play a huge part in generating spin. Both the shape of the string, the texture of the string, the tension of the string, and the slickness, all those things play a part, as well as the string pattern, to producing huge amounts of spin. So you can have one of these rackets with certain string setups that are going to change the amount of spin you're producing. So it's always worth considering how can you edit the string to generate the spin that you like. Having said that, spin rackets, as I've said, these are all the ones the brand publicises their spin machines. They're ones for people who want that rapid amount of revolutions on the ball, ripping up through it to control and dictate the points by pushing their opponents back with depth and spin. If you have enjoyed my top 5, whether you agree or not, you've enjoyed it, you found it a light entertainment for yourself, please let us know. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on the next video.